The loss of that submersible headed down to the wreck of the Titanic is raising a whole lot of questions. It was owned by OceanGate, a company that took tourists down to the shipwreck. CBS Sunday Mornings' David Pogue went underwater in that same vessel last year, and he spoke to Stockton Rush, the company's founder, who was on board. And sadly, he is now presumed dead along with 4 others. David joins us now to talk about it once again. Good morning to you, David. When you were here on Tuesday, you raised this possibility. You said it's very likely that there was an implosion. And when you said it, it was so painful to hear. I was so hoping that you were wrong because it seems so early in the investigation. Sadly, of course, you were right about that. So when you got the news yesterday, what were you thinking? Because now all sorts of questions are coming up.
I mean, I actually thought of the families, and
Yes.
Obviously no facts are going to make the pain any less. But there is closure now. I mean, imagine if they had disappeared and we never knew what happened to them. That would be awful. Mm-hmm. And I also have to say, they have the knowledge now that their loved ones died instantaneously. At those pressures, James Cameron and Stockton Rush both said it's like 10 sticks of dynamite going off instantaneously. They would not have been aware of anything amiss. It just would have been blackness.
But you know, the thing that haunts me about this is that we're hearing now that the Navy actually called the Coast Guard on Sunday and said, we see something or we hear something that could resemble an implosion. We were not told that until yesterday. So we went through this agonizing days of we're hearing sounds. Maybe there's a possibility that they're still alive. When many people in the industry, James Cameron has been speaking out about this, knew pretty much very early on that there was no chance of survival. Do you think we were all just given false hope? It
would have been nice for the Navy to let people know. I mean, obviously, it was the ROV, the remotely operated undersea vehicle, that found the wreckage. But think of all those planes flying back and forth endlessly, millions of dollars of tax dollars looking for it on the surface. That all could have been skipped. I don't know the internal workings of the Navy, but, man, I think I would have told the searchers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, David, it's Vlad. As someone who's been on the Titan, did you come away with some opinions about the structure, the integrity of the submersible? I mean, it does seem that Cameron and others raised some concerns about even the materials used to construct it.
It's interesting now. I mean, the narrative has now turned against Stockton Rush's design, and, you know, we should have seen this coming, and what an idiot. But please remember, this was a Princeton-educated aerospace engineer. He'd built and designed his own airplanes. He'd built and designed previous submersibles. This one was designed in conjunction with NASA. It had been to the seafloor 20 times uneventfully. There really is a lot of, you know, Monday morning quarterbacking going on here.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks terrible now. Yes, we see things that were missed. But nobody thought anything at the time.
Hey, David, you know, the ocean is shockingly underexplored. We know very little about areas. We know more about the area around the Titanic than we do than most of the seabed. And we were at the dawn of what seemed like a kind of a golden era of exploration with things like the Titan. What does this tragedy do to that innovation, that progress in the overall industry?
I can imagine there will be a chilling effect on deep-sea tourism, for sure. But on the other hand, think about it. People die climbing Mount Everest every year, skydiving, scuba diving. Mm-hmm. There is a kind of person, and I think Stockton Rush was among them, who thrives on danger, who loves the danger, who gets meaning from the risk of death. And I think they will be back to Mount Everest and to skydiving, and eventually I think they'll be back to deep sea diving.
Well, he may have thrived on danger, but there's an interview with the aunt of the 19-year-old who was on board who said that her nephew had a lot of trepidation, was really afraid, did not really want to go, but wanted to bond with his father. And I keep thinking about that family who has lost a husband and a son. And when you were there, did you feel it was safe? Did you have concerns? You used the phrase MacGyver at one point when you were talking to Stockton. Did you feel safe when you were on it?
I was emotionally terrified. I didn't sleep the night before. Yeah, he drives the thing with this game controller. He uses rusty lead pipes from a construction industry as ballast. there were things that seemed sort of unsophisticated. And of course, I brought this up with him, and he said, yeah, that's true, but these are just bells and whistles. The part that keeps you alive, the part we care about, is that carbon fiber cylinder and the titanium end caps that he designed in conjunction with NASA. And that, he said, is buttoned down.
David Pogue, I guess there will still be a lot of questions about regulation of these types of high-risk adventures. Thank you very much for sharing your insight. We appreciate it as always.